E-learning is an adaptation strategy in facing COVID-19 pandemic, a case study of Sociology Department postgraduate students class of 2008 and 2009 University of Indonesia. The author name is Rifka Annisa Shafina Maida Nadila, Shifa Andini Salsabila, Shora Alia Eka Putri, and the last is Hakiki Nur Majesti. School of Social and Political Science, Sociology Department, University of Indonesia, Depok, Jawa Barat, Indonesia. This proceeding paper is for the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Science, ICOSAP 2020. The abstract, COVID-19 has caused social activities limited by the Indonesian government, which one is teaching and learning activity in the university. The Sociology Department of the University of Indonesia took steps by replacing usual lectures to online lectures or e-learning. Unlike usual lectures, e-learning suddenly challenged students to change their study habits. According to that statement, the research question was, how was the adaptation strategy undertaken by the Sociology Department of the University of Indonesia related to the teaching and learning process during COVID-19 pandemic? Thus, the aim of this research is the application of adaptation strategies with the concept by Smith 1986 regarding an actions plan at a certain period of time, group, or whole human being as an effort in step with inside and outside their capability, and a learning concept by Hart in 2010 is all form of information and computer technology, including a learning experience, are formulated, organized, and created through the internet device. This research uses quantitative method. The result shows that lectures with the e-learning system were not effective by a value of 2.84 from scale 1 till 5. The obstacle shows the difficulties in the material understanding, unstable signals, unsupported device, and dealing with the psychological problem. The common overcome learning barriers strategy are asking help from colleges, Googling the reference, and social support by the colleges and the family. The University of Indonesia learning system has not working effectively. For these reasons, contextual solutions are still needed in developing teaching and learning system to remain effective despite the challenge by the COVID-19 pandemic. Keywords are e-learning, COVID-19, strategies, adaptations, and University of Indonesia. The introductions, the most COVID-19 affected region was DKI Jakarta as the center of the outbreaks. DKI Jakarta government takes very responsive policy to close all the public places where people can gather, such as school, market, office, public transportation, and etc. It's to prevent the worst possibility of the amount of citizens might be affected by the virus. The fact that the number of COVID-19 infected show increase from time to time also creates a huge impact to all the public sectors. One of all is the educational sectors. After DKI Jakarta government closed the school and changed all the classes activity to e-learning, University of Indonesia released Surat Edaran Rektor Universitas Indonesia number SA703/UN.R/09/2020 to confirm the dangers of the spread of COVID-19 all over the university and order all the civitas academic programs to be delayed or cancelled, especially by the maze of activity. One of it is class activity. And to keep the academic programs running well, all the classes activity convert to the e-learning gradually from March until the end of semester in June 2020 and September 2020 until the end of semester in January 2021. According to the University University Indonesia Consular Policy release, the Dean of Social and Political Science, Dr. Aris Budi Susilo, arranged the term of policy of e-learning by the information number SA 0157/UN2F9.D and UTL.9 2020. In that information shows that e-learning works as an alternative learning which uses digital platforms by the University of Indonesia. Call it a MAS UI or e-learning management system UI. Moreover, it is also possible to use another meeting digital platforms such as Skype for Business, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangout, Google Classrooms, Zoom, and digital chat applications such as WhatsApp, Line, and Telegrams. All the terms and conditions of the e-learning mechanism fully depends on the lecturers and students' mutual agreement. The Sociology Department, as one of the departments in the School of Social and Political Science, or FISIP UI, took steps by replacing usual lectures with e-learning. The mechanism difference create a lot of change and challenge, not only to the lecturers but also to the students. Unlike usual lectures, e-learning suddenly challenged students to change their study habits. Then the different ways of learning are the most fascinating routes into research. Therefore, the research questions was the adaptation strategy undertaken by the Sociology Department of the University of Indonesia related the teaching and learning process during COVID-19 pandemic. Literature review contains of two concepts. The first one is an adaptation strategy. Second one is e-learning. Smith explained the concept of an adaptation strategy as an adaptation planning towards some phenomenon that change in a certain time by a certain group of people or all human beings as an relatable effort to their capability from inside and outside. In determining the adaptation strategy, there are typical actors related to their social condition by having a statement by the way are they taking, planning, and doing. In implementing an adaptation strategy, it is necessary to determine intervention subject as a people, system, and sectors. Determining the intervention subjects while creating an adaptation strategy make it easier to implement the change and recognize to adapting within a predetermined time. In this case, University of Indonesia determines the intervention subjects as a people, are students and lectures, a system which is classroom activities convert to e-learning, and the sectors was higher education institutions. E-learning is the use of information and computer technology to create learning experience explained by the Horton and Horton. The e-learning definition by Horton is emphasize how learning experiences are formulated, organized, and created through the online learning system. Hirschman in Hanum states the four characteristics of e-learning, namely interactivity, independency, accessibility, and enrichment. Method: this research used a quantitative approach with qualitative data collections technique by using a questionnaire. The questionnaire was distributed through the Google Form by WhatsApp broadcasting message in April 17 to 18, 2020. The sampling method uses not random sampling, hence the research only applied to the simple level. The questionnaire are 50 names collected from all the 96 names of the Sociology Department postgraduate students of University of Indonesia, class 2018 and 2019. The descriptive analysis applied in the research elaborating a learning phenomenon and enriched observation by the researcher. And discussions, the four aspects of the e-learning effectiveness, explaining that interactivity, independency, accessibility, and enrichment should be included while implementing an e-learning. The data shows the interactivity between lectures and student use was up by 20%. However, by using online chatting application, both lectures and students are still facing an obstacle, such as misunderstanding of lectures learning directions by 28%. Distance bring difficulties of direct communications between lectures and students by 23%. Learning time disorientation by the availability of the lectures by 18%, and the difficulty of contacting the lectures also. The aspect of interactivity not only shows by the relationship between private sectors, both lectures and students, but also between students and students. The data shows 28% of respondents are expecting compensation in the lecture's assignment target. 52% responded are claiming both paper and presentation, either individual or group assignment was too heavy in the displacement time during pandemic. The reason elaborated why that heavy reason happened. First, the productive online time difference among them. Second, the college life cultures that put communal activities such as discussions and coordinating group assignment are took place in the university. In facing that difficult conditions, students still create their own adaptation strategy to connecting, bonding, and communicating online, among others. However, the data that asking help to the classmate was 90%, Googling 80%, and Open e-library access name remodelib.ui by 10%. Next, independency aspect, which means the student-centered learning. University Indonesia developed the learning website in order to support the aim. There are Mas UI and UI Lib. However, in the beginning of the e-learning implementations, the learning model is still teaching-centered learning. The lectures still take a crucial role while class activities are running. The data show that 20% of the respondents considered that lectures time become the self-agreement while conducting a class. The fact shows that 92% of the correspondents did work from home, but still most of the students are dealing to adapt for running the class, so that double task is takes two tango to deal with, shown by 50% respondent claim and 10% claim that to have less time to rest. Therefore, to create a balance of the independency aspect of how students take their part was shown by 90% converting the pursuit into the hobbies and 14% taking a short break. Accessibility, which means the inclusiveness to get an equal access to the learning process and procedure. The accessibility take an important attention on this research. The data shows that accessibility becomes the first obstacle which students can left out from the beginning of the classes because they weren't having access to get along in the learning activity. The most useful device were laptop, handphone, and PC. By 19% of respondents had unsupported device problems such as broken laptop. The second obstacle was internet connections. Mostly students get an unlimited free internet access while in the university. Then e-learning implemented, they were learning from home. The internet access was self-providing. The data showed 19 of respondents wanted university to take a part for provide free internet credits to pay off their internet bills in order to attending in a learning class activity. The enrichment aspect. This research, the enrichment referred to explain the learning process during a learning implementation. The way of learning material present using video streaming, animations, and simulations. 19% respondent wanted a variety of learning models when attending an e-learning class. There are 26% of respondents claiming that journal articles and books are more useful reading source. 24% claiming that YouTube video are attractive material sources, and other 24% think PowerPoint slides are attractive too. For the digital mapping applications, students are familiar with Skype for Business, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangout, Google Classrooms, Zoom, and digital chat applications such as WhatsApp, Line, and Telegram. Even though learning media are quite varied, 19% of respondents admit that they still had difficulty understanding learning material while was carried out online. Conclusions. From this research, the conclusions come to although the University of Indonesia has implemented a responsive adaptation strategy, right after Indonesian Ministry of Education and Culture released the e-learning policy, the implementations in the realization facing a lot of obstacle and shows that it is ineffective and exclusive. For the suggestion output, this research objective is to give an opinion based on the fact. In order for e-learning to be run effectively, it should be considered to create online learning facilities such as internet credit for students and evaluations to reduce the miscommunication between lecturers and students. Thank you so much.